Have you ever experienced that familiar pull, where everything seems crystal clear and you've already made your choice, yet you find yourself hesitating all the same? Days slip by, then weeks, and still you haven't picked up the phone, launched that project, or voiced those essential words. It's as if some invisible force draws you back, leaving you poised before a door that leads to life itself, but your hand simply won't turn the handle. What's truly puzzling is that these moments don't always involve weighty, life-changing decisions. Often, it's about weighing two appealing options, or gathering the resolve to say no when it's warranted. At other times, you might keep circling back with doubts. What if I've erred? What if it was all in vain? In that haze of uncertainty, your vitality, your concentration, and even the present fade away. People often chalk up indecision to a shortage of information, or to fear, or even laziness. But in this age of endless data, do you truly lack the facts? Are you really gripped by terror? Perhaps it's more about doubting your own worthiness to trust yourself. That's where the real depth lies. It's not so much about uncertainty in what to do, it's about uncertainty in who you are right now. A person with conviction makes a decision and claims it as their own, while the hesitant one remains caught in an endless cycle. What if I make the wrong choice? Let's be straightforward. Wrong for whom, exactly? Who is this inner voice that lurks in your mind, perpetually weighing, endorsing, contrasting, and critiquing everything? Eckhart Tolle describes it as the voice of the mind, one that never truly inhabits the present. It constantly drags you either back to the past, where doubts and missteps linger, or forward to the future, filled with anxieties and unforeseen outcomes. In this relentless back and forth between what was and what might be, you miss out on the only authentic decision, the one that emerges purely in the now. Consider this. When have you felt genuinely confident, when choices flowed with ease? Wasn't that a moment of utter clarity, a near-perfect quietude, free from the mind's endless chatter, devoid of any inner conflict? Indeed, you embraced that simple yes and moved forward. Yet in the quieter interludes that follow, what does the mind truly do? It spins an elaborate illusion, casting decisions as intricate equations, demanding precise solutions. As if one could meticulously calculate which action will deliver the flawless outcome, and if it falls short, it must mean a faulty choice was made. From this springs a cascade of guilt, regret, and unease. Naturally, it fosters even deeper hesitation for what's to come. This recurring pattern doesn't just hinder daily life, it quietly pilfers our joy. For within it, everything is tethered to the end result, as though the act itself holds no worth unless crowned by success. But the deeper truth is that every mindful step we take is valuable in its own right. And here emerges a compelling paradox. The harder you strive to select the perfect path, the more elusive that choice becomes. Conversely, the more you attune yourself to the present, the less room there is for doubt or delay. You simply understand and proceed. So where does this inner tension arise? This nagging sense of unpreparedness, uncertainty, and paralysis in the face of decisions. Why does the mind generate such noise, even over the simplest matters? What profound force keeps us from fully engaging with life? It lies in this concealed mechanism, in how our awareness drifts away from the here and now, revealing the true essence of indecision, not just in fearing mistakes, but in the very lens through which we view the world. And that is exactly what we'll delve into next. It's curious how, when we whisper to ourselves, "I just can't decide," we rarely stop to ponder the essence of that I who's feeling stuck. We instinctively treat indecision as a genuine force, almost like an ailment or a fixed part of our nature. Yet, Eckhart Tolle encourages us to look beyond the surface. He reminds us that we're not truly indecisive. We're simply caught in the web of our thoughts. The mind, by design, isn't meant for making heartfelt choices. Its purpose is to weigh options, break things down, and forecast outcomes. Valuable skills, to be sure, but ones that fall short of sensing what's truly right for you in the here and now. The mind thrives on ideas. endlessly comparing what might happen against what should, all while the vibrancy of life flows past unnoticed. The real issue isn't the decision itself. It's our belief that we must choose flawlessly. Flawless is just an abstraction, detached from the rawness of reality, and abstractions often stir up fear because the perfect ideal is always elusive, like a shadow that slips away. This is the deeper psychological source of indecision. We bind ourselves to an imagined self, one that's accomplished, poised, and error-free, so that others might approve and we can dodge disapproval. In this pursuit of an illusion, we lose our connection to our authentic selves, to the essence that feels and experiences life fully. As Eckhart Tolle points out, all our fears and doubts emerge from this very identification with the ego. The ego simply cannot thrive in the present moment. It craves a problem to validate its existence, turning challenges into a source of self-worth. By generating tension, it sets the stage to resolve it later, all in pursuit of a fleeting sense of importance. As long as you're caught in this cycle, as long as you believe you must make flawless choices to prove your value, you remain ensnared. Yet, doesn't this feel far from true freedom? It echoes instead as an unending inner strain. And here's the paradox. We chase certainty only to encounter anxiety in its place. We seek clarity, but end up lost in a haze. Why? Because we're looking for answers where they don't reside, in our thoughts, in endless analysis, in fears, or in futile attempts to control what lies ahead. In the meantime, true certainty doesn't arise from predicting the future. It emerges from full immersion in the now, from a deep trust in life's flow. Eckhart Tolle often reminds us that life never unfolds later. It is always here, unfolding right now. In this breath, in this gaze, in this awareness of the body, yet it stirs a deep unease in the mind. For when a decision emerges from quiet stillness, the mind senses its grip slipping away. Above all, the mind dreads this loss of command. That's why it traps you in doubt and delay. If you simply embrace the present, it renders itself irrelevant. This explains the odd heaviness we often feel when action calls. Not because the challenge is truly overwhelming, but because the ego perceives a looming threat. What if you make the wrong choice? What if control escapes you entirely? But control is nothing more than a fleeting illusion. Life's essence is inherently unpredictable. Genuine confidence doesn't mean avoiding risk. It's about embracing vitality amid uncertainty. Picture this. If you understood that every decision is merely a step forward, not a final judgment, how differently would you move? Wouldn't you feel more liberated, unburdened, truly alive? This is the subtle transformation that unfolds when you no longer treat your thoughts as infallible truths. When you recognize that the inner voice is simply a voice, nothing more. It's not you. It's not the world around you. It's just a fleeting thought arriving and vanishing like a whisper in the wind. That's the essence of it. Until you grasp how profoundly indecision is woven into the fabric of our culture, our upbringing, and our very patterns of thought, you'll remain ensnared in its grip. It feels so natural, so familiar, so ordinary, that it fades into the background, invisible and unchallenged. And that's precisely what we'll explore next. The subtle repercussions that may seem trivial at first, yet quietly shape an entire life filled with doubt, deferred choices, and a persistent sense that you're always living for tomorrow. Take a moment to look back at recent months. How many decisions have you left hanging? How many steps have you postponed indefinitely? How many conversations, encounters, or changes still linger in limbo? They might appear insignificant, a simple, "I'll think about it later," but these small hesitations accumulate, gradually constructing the reality you inhabit. What makes indecision so insidious is that it doesn't announce itself with fanfare. It doesn't shout or demand attention. Instead, it gently shifts your focus, whispering that now isn't quite right, that you'll handle it soon enough, that the perfect time is just around the corner. And while you wait for that ideal moment, life slips by unnoticed. One day blends into a week into a year. Before you know it, you've stopped initiating anything at all. Eckhart Tolle observes that the mind thrives on the threshold, hovering on the edge, dwelling in thoughts of what might come. It creates an illusion of progress without any real risk. The mind shrinks from the unknown. True action, in its essence, means stepping into the uncertain. To sidestep this encounter, we instinctively retreat into a state of endless contemplation. There, we might feel a flurry of inner dialogues, analyses, and speculations, as if something meaningful is unfolding. Yet in reality, nothing truly advances. Neurobiology bears this out. When the brain is overwhelmed by choices, it succumbs to stress. There's even a specific term for it: decision fatigue. The more unresolved decisions you harbor within, the more energy is siphoned away, not toward living fully, but toward maintaining that nagging uncertainty. You sense this drain, even if you can't quite pinpoint its source: a subtle inattention, a vague unease, or that chronic weariness where you feel exhausted without knowing why. This, ultimately, is the true cost of indecision. It's not merely about the choices left unmade, it's about forfeiting the power of the present moment. Your focus shifts away from embracing life toward dwelling in doubt, away from pursuing love toward yielding to fear, away from bold action toward an illusory safety that remains forever out of reach. Culture, too, offers its subtle reinforcements for this mindset. From childhood, we're taught to pause and ponder, to avoid haste and mistakes at all costs. It all seems sensible enough, until you realize your inner critic has morphed into a tyrant. Every impulse must pass through its rigid filter. Is this the right path? Will others approve? Might I regret it later? In this filtering process, spontaneity fades and vitality dims. Perhaps you've observed how children make decisions so freely without hesitation. They don't crave all that intricate layers of analysis. They simply feel the urge and move ahead. Not out of recklessness, but because the fear of being mistaken hasn't yet taken hold in them. In adults, though, this fear turns nearly invisible. It lurks behind words like caution, deliberation, and sound judgment, yet in essence it's just a crippling shadow. Eckhart Tolle observes that our identity is largely shaped by dodging pain. Indecision, after all, stands as a primary tool for sidestepping the discomfort we imagine ahead. But here's the irony: when you live solely to avoid pain, you end up shunning joy as well. You can't selectively numb emotions, that is, turn them off at will. Block out fear and you block inspiration too. Stay away from the unknown and you'll never encounter true wonder. And that's the path this leads us down. At first glance, what appears to be an innocent habit of pausing to reflect can quietly overshadow your entire life. It's as though you're not fully engaging with the world, but merely practicing, experimenting, and second-guessing every step. Over time, you begin to lose that natural sense of momentum, the effortless grace, and the quiet guidance of intuition. You might sense this as a deep inner aridity, as if you haven't acted on your true passions in years. Or perhaps existence itself has transformed into something that demands endless scrutiny, rather than being simply lived. This isn't rooted in any personal flaw like laziness or hesitation. Instead, it's because you've spent so long immersed in a rigid game where perfection and correctness take precedence over authenticity. But what if you could break free from that game? What if confidence isn't a hard-won reward from prolonged contemplation, but a state you can tap into immediately? What if true decisions emerge not when clarity reigns, but when you permit yourself to fully embrace life amid the fog of uncertainty and the thrill of risk? At times, to make a genuine choice, you simply need to release your grip on the illusion of control. We must let life flow through us, as Eckhart Tolle describes, marking the dawn of true liberation. There comes a moment when you suddenly realize, enough is enough. You can no longer linger in the doorway, hesitant to step inside. The patience for endless delays fades, not from laziness, but because the spark of life within has grown too dim to sustain the weight. In that instant, something stirs deep inside you, quiet, yet insistent. It's not a call for more analysis or reflection. It's something entirely different. It's a summons to freedom. This is the genuine turning point. It doesn't always feel like a triumph. Often, it resembles surrender. Yet it's not yielding to fear. It's yielding to life itself. You stop trying to map out every detail, to postpone decisions until safety is assured. Instead, you simply choose. Not because everything is clear, but because one truth stands out. Inaction has become unbearable. Eckhart Tolle reminds us that the full power of life resides in the present moment. We fail to feel it, though, because we dwell not in the here and now, but in the mind's prison of what-ifs, supposes, and endless hypotheticals. Here emerges the central paradox. True confidence doesn't arise after a decision is made, it arrives beforehand. This happens when you simply stop playing the endless game of fear. When you grant yourself permission to be fully present, immersed in the moment, even without any guarantees. The real challenge is that we often pursue not solutions, but absolute certainty. We yearn for everything to become crystal clear, utterly transparent, and perfectly logical before we choose. Yet, the essence of life is an illogical tapestry. It's vibrant and ever-changing. Most profound decisions stem not solely from the mind, but from a deeper realm where intellect can't steer alone. Where you learn to feel, not merely think. Tolle calls this presence. In the space of presence, the compulsion to analyze dissolves. You no longer cast yourself as the authority on your own existence. You just allow yourself to be. And in that simple act of being, qualities once elusive begin to unfold. Intuition, sharp clarity, and a gentle, unwavering energy that banishes all inner turmoil. Have you ever noticed? When you're fully present, decisions simply unfold with ease, not as the outcome of endless deliberation, but as a quiet spark, serene and almost wordless. In that moment, you just know the path to take. No drama, no calculations, no inner conflict. It's the point where choices emerge not from the mind, but from a deeper essence. I once spoke with a woman who captured this perfectly. I grew tired of living on hold, she said. At some point, I stopped forcing decisions and let myself surrender. In that instant, everything inside became clear. It didn't erase the fear, but it no longer held the reins. She chose to release her grip on control and embrace life instead. That's the profound shift. You begin to live not through the dread of mistakes, but through the willingness to truly engage with existence. A truly alive person isn't someone who never doubts. It's someone who moves forward even with uncertainty. They might say, "I don't know what lies ahead, but I know I no longer want to stand on the sidelines." Awakening isn't some mystical magic. It's a skill you cultivate. It starts with one small step, allowing yourself to be in the moment, not in some idealized future, but right where you are. Even if it's messy, foggy, and full of unknowns. All you have is this now. You're not required to resolve everything at once. But you can stop fleeing from yourself. You can acknowledge, yes, I'm afraid. Yes, I'm uncertain. But I refuse to wait for the fear to fade. From that honest admission, real progress begins. It's not just theory, it's a daily practice. Those small actions, taken from a place of presence, can alter the entire course of your life. Because every present moment is a source of strength. As Eckhart Tolle puts it, when you're genuinely here, life itself starts to guide you. Because you and it are one. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff. Behind you lies the familiar ground, filled with doubts and worries, yet oddly comforting. Ahead stretches only emptiness, mere air hanging before you. And in that instant, a simple yet utterly paradoxical truth reveals itself. There is no ground beneath your feet until you take a step. Only then does it materialize, emerging precisely under each footfall as you move forward. Never before and never after. This, in essence, captures the core of true freedom, a profound awakening to hesitation itself. It's not a flaw of the mind, it's a matter of identity. We fear making choices not because they are difficult, but because every decision means letting go of the version of ourselves we've come to know. And the dread of that symbolic death, the oldest, most powerful, and most deceptive of fears, holds us back. Eckhart Tolle puts it this way: when you allow the moment to unfold as it is, you step beyond the mind's grasp. But to truly experience this, you must confront the illusion the mind clings to until the end, the illusion of who you ought to be. The moment you release your grip on those images of success, goodness, unwavering confidence, everything simplifies, not because the fears vanish, but because the one who controls them fades away. Genuine decisions don't arrive when you've become smart enough or prepared enough. They come when you refuse to be a prisoner of your past, when you stop demanding perfection from yourself. Suddenly, life reveals itself not as a test you must pass, but as a game you can play freely, with an open heart and unwavering trust. You see, there's no real need for unwavering certainty. What truly matters is embracing life in its raw, vibrant form. These are worlds apart. A truly alive person might tremble with fear, grapple with doubts, or stumble into mistakes. Yet, they keep breathing, sensing the world around them and moving forward. In that very motion, a deeper understanding emerges, not as if you're in control, but as if life itself is flowing through you. The most powerful practice isn't about getting your thoughts perfectly aligned. It's about standing your ground and not fleeing, not running from the quiet, from the emptiness, or from that unsettling feeling of not knowing. For it's right there, in the heart of uncertainty, that you find the gateway to a profound trust, not a mere intellectual concept, but a visceral, embodied knowing. When you simply allow yourself to be, you'll realize that everything you need is already present. Everything that truly counts is already within you. All that's left is to take that step. And in that moment, you stop warring against indecision. It no longer weighs you down as a burden. Why? Because you've shifted. You're no longer the one consumed by it. Instead, you become the observer who sees it, breathes through it, and keeps walking no matter what. That's the essence of awakening. It's when you cease building bridges to some distant future and start dancing right where you are, here, in this very instant, now. Each of your movements becomes a decision in itself, not born from cold logic, but from an act of deepest surrender to the flow of life. Perhaps you're unsure of how things will unfold. Maybe fear holds you back, but one truth stands clear. You no longer wish to drift through life in a fog of half-awareness. You refuse to wait endlessly for that fear to fade away. You won't craft another backup plan just in case. Instead, you're opting to truly exist, to embrace life fully, and to feel every moment deeply. That's the heart of it all. Keep in mind, even the tiniest steps you take right now, in this very instant, have the power to reshape everything, not because you've mapped out every detail, but because you've placed your trust in life's uncertainties, in your own inner strength, and in the quiet wisdom within. And that trust will always prove more potent than any meticulously laid plan. If you've made it this far, it means you've already taken the first step. You are the one forging a deliberate, mindful path forward.